You only need to read the first few paragraphs of the federal indictment of Donald Trump to understand the seriousness of the crimes with which he has been accused. Paragraph 3 details the kinds of top-secret intelligence that could be found in the classified documents that were improperly in Trump's possession, including information about America's nuclear weapons. Paragraph 6 recounts 2 instances where Trump showed classified documents to unauthorized individuals. In paragraph 7, prosecutors provide 5 examples of how Trump obstructed justice over the course of the FBI and the grand jury's investigations. It goes on like that for 49 pages. The evidence included in the indictment came from a variety of sources. There are photos of stacks of boxes stored in unsecure locations around Mar-a-Lago, including in a bathroom. Those are in paragraphs 25, 28, and 30. There's even information from one of Trump's attorneys, referred to as Trump Attorney Number 1, whom we believe to be Evan Corcoran, who was compelled by a judge to testify under the crime fraud exception. See paragraph 54 for that. It's a stunning document filled with details and evidence regarding the former president's reckless actions, which might have compromised the security of the United States. But ever since it was unsealed a week ago, it's been difficult, though not impossible, to find a Republican to seriously engage with the facts of the case as laid out in the indictment. Instead, there's an ongoing effort to discredit the Department of Justice, with many Republicans baselessly accusing the Biden administration of weaponizing the federal government. And that particular word, weaponization, has been repeatedly used by virtually every major Republican figure over the past week. The House Speaker Kevin McCarthy vowed that, quote, House Republicans will hold this brazen weaponization of power accountable. His second in command, the House Majority Leader, Steve Scalise, accused the president of, quote, weaponizing his Department of Justice against his own political rival. And in a less direct tweet, Republican presidential candidate, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, made a general statement proclaiming, quote, the weaponization of federal law enforcement represents a mortal threat to a free society. Absent from these tweets, however, is any legitimate information about how exactly Donald Trump's indictment is an example of the weaponization of the federal government. Biden had no role in launching the investigation, as some have suggested. The case originated in the unlikeliest of places. The National Archives, a department tasked with preserving and storing government records, which doesn't usually attract much attention, let alone controversy. National Archives officials were the ones to refer the matter to the Justice Department, which prompted the FBI to open a criminal investigation. That's confirmed in paragraphs 49 and 50. So maybe this is the weaponization of the National Archives. Trump's allies like to deflect from direct questions about the former president's indictment by bringing up the fact that classified documents were also found on Biden's properties. Except they conveniently omit that a special prosecutor, Robert Hur, is currently leading an investigation into that matter. But if Republicans really are concerned about the weaponization of the federal government, they need to look a little closer to home. A few days after he was indicted for a second time, Trump took to Truth Social and posted an all-caps message saying, quote, I will appoint a real prosecutor, in quotes, to go after the most corrupt president in the history of the USA, Joe Biden, the entire Biden crime family, and all others involved with the destruction of our elections, borders, and country itself, end quote, all capital letters. Donald Trump is yelling the quiet part out loud. It's not all surprising that Trump has already attached a presumption of guilt into the, quote, the Biden crime family and vows to prosecute them for unspecified charges if he gets the chance. It's perfectly consistent with the character of a man who spent an entire election cycle touring the country and leading chants about locking up Hillary Clinton. Trump and his allies have no good defense for his reckless actions. Accusing the system itself of being biased against them is the best they can come up with, even if they have nothing to back it up.